We're here with Chosen People Ministries, and I am joined by Dr. Thomas Fretwell, who, correct me if I'm wrong, holds a Bachelor of Theology and a Master of Arts in Theology from the University of Chester, a PhD in Jewish Christian Studies, serves as the senior pastor at Calvary Chapel Hastings, and is an associate tutor in theology at King's Evangelical Divinity School.
That's right. Good job.
Welcome.
Thanks
Is
for
it
having
okay
me.
if I call you Tommy?
Tommy's good. Yeah.
Tommy.
Let's go with
Tommy's
that.
good.
Let's go with that.
Tommy, you've been asked to come and talk about the Christian Zionist movement in the UK. Can you unpack a little bit of what you shared?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously that's a very broad brush approach. The title there gives me a lot of scope. So what I was looking to try and convey to the audience was really a little bit of the history of Christian Zionism, because the UK has a strong historical tradition of Christian Zionism, and as other people in the conference have unpacked, maybe that's not where we are so much today in the UK. But my talk was basically, firstly, to just bring it to our attention that Zionism is a term that causes a lot of emotive responses from people, particularly since October 7th. Christian Zionism is the same within the Christian community. So I wanted to try and show some history, that we have that strong tradition, but also correct some misunderstandings of it too. So we looked back, we kind of went all the way back to the Reformation and the Puritans. Now, of course, they didn't call themselves Christian Zionists in those days. It wasn't a term that was used, but they referred to themselves as restorationists. So what we're really referring to when we speak of Christian Zionism is the belief that there is a continued place and purpose for Israel in the plan of God. Like the covenants and the election of Israel still stands. They haven't been cancelled, annulled, redefined, or anything like that. So they're still active with the people of Israel. That's basically a raw, real truncated version of what Christian Zionism is, but that's what I was expressing. And then we went and just looked at various people in history, particularly around the 19th century in the UK, because that's known as the golden era of Christian Zionism in the UK. It's when there were just many government officials and the elite and the political establishment who just happened to be Christian Zionists. And it's almost as if the Lord engineered it, that at that particular period in history, there was a lot of strong Christian Zionist influence around the time of the First World War, continuing on to the Second World War, really. But it was the First World War where we had people like Lord Shaftesbury, where we had Arthur Balfour, and these people who were instrumental in joining with the political Zionist movement, the Herzlian Zionist movement, and forming this path towards the establishment of the State of Israel.
You know, I've often thought that actually it would be a great study to look at how the word Zionist has changed over even just the last 10 years, let alone, the last millennia or whatever. And I think Zion, people understand, is, Mount Zion, the place. But Zionist, all of a sudden, no, now you're becoming somebody who's very, militant.
That's it. Yeah.
So what's your best way of helping people to get their head around and even be willing to call themselves a Zionist?
Yeah, sure. So I think it comes back to the foundational principles, because the term, like you said, has accumulated baggage over the century, and it's political baggage primarily, isn't it? Of course, ever since the United Nations back in mid-70s made that resolution that equated Zionism with racism, there's been this lingering anti-Israel, anti-Jewish sentiment that comes with that term. And in today's discourse, political and theological in some circles, to call yourself a Zionist or to support Zionism is often associated with a kind of colonial interpretation, a militaristic, triumphalist nationalism. And this is just not the historic meaning of the term. If you go back, like I said, in the Christian world, Zionism was restorationism. It was just an affirmation that the land and the people were still important and part of the covenants of God. And even in the political, with political Zionism, the original movement that Theodor Herzl started was in response to what he witnessed in France with the anti-Semitism in the Dreyfus affair, where the Jewish captain was falsely accused and tried. Just huge anti-Semitism that he witnessed. And from then he realized, hang on, the only place that we can actually protect against that is with our own state. And obviously, of course, where else are they going to have the state except in their ancient homeland? And so it's about having the history in the right place, not allowing contemporary geopolitics to shape your entire understanding of the movement. And that's where people get mistaken today, I believe.
Perfect. Tommy, thanks so much for clearing that up.
No problem.
And I hope that all of our viewers are able to hear what you're saying and go, now
Hopefully, yes.
it makes sense. Thanks for that.
Great, no problem.